They thought they had tamed you, shackled your fire, clipped your claws, drowned your growl in a sea of silence. They mistook your stillness for surrender, your patience for fear. But a beast is never broken, only waiting, only watching, only biding its time. And when the time comes, when the cage door rusts, when their backs are turned, when their laughter echoes a little too loud in their own delusions, that's when the hunt begins. They built their kingdom on your suffering, carved their thrones from your bones, raised their glasses to your downfall. They spoke of you in past tense, as if your spirit had decomposed, as if your existence was a fading shadow lost to the wind. They made a spectacle of your wounds, passed your pain around like an evening's entertainment, never once considering that the very torment they inflicted was forging something new, something primal, something unrelenting. They have never felt the weight of your silence, never understood that behind those quiet eyes was a storm waiting to break. They underestimated the patience of a predator, mistook the absence of fangs for the absence of hunger. Oh, but the hunger never left. It simmered beneath your ribs, curled around your spine, whispered through your veins with every breath. And now it is time. The hunt is not a game. It is not about vengeance in the way they might understand it. No, vengeance is too small a word, too human, too civilized. What you seek is something deeper, darker, a reckoning carved into the marrow of their existence. You do not come to repay a debt. You come to erase their legacy, to ensure that when history writes its final chapter on them, their names dissolve into nothingness, their echoes swallowed by the silence they once forced upon you. You remember every betrayal, every lie, every smirk they wore as they watched you break. Oh, how they delighted in your downfall, how they reveled in your suffering, how they felt invincible in their cruelty. They had no fear, no hesitation, no doubt that they were untouchable, but they forgot the nature of a cornered beast. They forgot that desperation breeds something far more dangerous than rage. It breeds precision, calculation, inevitability. They should have killed you. That was their only real chance. But they let you crawl away, let you breathe, let you stitch yourself back together in the shadows they so carelessly ignored. And while they basked in their victories, you were sharpening your teeth in the dark. Every scar they left on you became another weapon in your arsenal, every ounce of pain another tool in your reconstruction. They do not yet realize the depth of their mistake, but they will. You can smell the fear before they even recognize it within themselves. It starts small, an unease, a flicker of doubt, a subconscious recognition that something is not quite right. The world feels different, heavier, more fragile. Their laughter is not as carefree, their footsteps a little quicker, their gazes flickering over their shoulders, just a little too often. They do not know why, not yet, but their instincts are whispering what their minds refuse to comprehend. The beast has awoken. You do not hunt with haste. No, that would be too easy, too merciful. You take your time, you let them marinate in their own paranoia, let them taste the uncertainty they once force-fed you. They do not get to run, not yet. First, they must understand what it feels like to be powerless, to know that something is coming for them, something unstoppable, something inevitable. You strip away their confidence first, the foundation of their arrogance, the pillars of their deceit. One by one, you dismantle them. You are not reckless. You are methodical. You move like a ghost through the cracks in their reality, altering the very fabric of their security. Their allies become strangers, their weapons useless, their sense of control nothing but an illusion. You do not need to strike first. They will destroy themselves trying to escape a fate they cannot outrun. Oh, how poetic it is to watch them unravel, to watch their composure crumble under the weight of an enemy they cannot see, cannot touch, cannot stop. Their once steady hands tremble as they lock their doors, as if mere bolts and chains could keep out what is already inside their minds. The voices in their heads grow louder, paranoia tightening its grip around their throats like an unrelenting noose. They speak in hushed whispers now, afraid that even the walls have turned against them. But you are in no hurry. A beast does not chase. It waits, it watches, it lets its prey feel the inevitability creeping in. They will see shadows that are not there, hear footsteps that do not exist. Their own breathing will betray them, loud, panicked, broken. And when the moment is right, when the fear has fully ripened, when they are standing on the precipice of their own madness, you will strike. It will not be the way they expect. No, no. You have something much more fitting in mind. They did not deserve mercy when they held the power, so why should they expect it now? Their screams will be the chorus of their downfall, their shattered pride the monument to their undoing. They will know, in their final moments, that they were never the hunters. They were always the prey, foolishly believing they could cage something that was born to run free. They will not see you coming. Oh, they will search for you, of course. They will try to understand, try to prepare, try to rationalize what is happening. But you are not something that can be reasoned with. You are not a name, not a man, not a mere victim seeking revenge. You are the consequence they never prepared for, the ghost of every sin they thought would stay buried. And when they finally see you, when they finally understand, it will be too late. They will beg, though you do not want their pleas. They will bargain, though you have no interest in negotiation. They will promise, though their words mean nothing. You are not here to hear them out, not here to grant them understanding. No, you are here for one reason, and one reason only. The beast they cornered now moves without hesitation, without doubt, without mercy. They were the architects of your torment, the designers of your suffering, the hands that twisted the knife just to watch you bleed. And now they are the ones looking over their shoulders, gripping the edges of their reality with trembling fingers as it all begins to slip away. Their world, once solid, once unshakable, now feels like a house of cards caught in a storm. They hear things they cannot explain, feel eyes on them when no one is there, and worst of all, they know. They know something is coming. Their certainty was their downfall. They believed their power was permanent, that the chains they wrapped around you were unbreakable, that their thrones were built on foundations too strong to crack. But power is a fleeting illusion, and the moment it slips, the fall is merciless. They expected you to be forgotten, erased, buried under the weight of their mockery. Instead, you became the force they could never anticipate, the consequence they never thought they'd face. And oh, how the mighty tremble when their sins return to them. They try to dismiss the unease, try to tell themselves they are imagining things. But the mind is a fragile thing when doubt is planted in the cracks. They check their locks twice, hesitate before stepping into darkened rooms, catch their breath when shadows move just a little too quickly in the corner of their vision. At first, they tell themselves it's nothing, but nothing does not shift in the darkness. Nothing does not whisper through the silence. Nothing does not watch, waiting for the perfect moment to make itself known. They are beginning to understand, aren't they? The helplessness, the powerlessness, the feeling of being at the mercy of something they cannot see, cannot control. A cruel joke, is it not? They used to revel in their dominance, parade their cruelty like a crown upon their heads. Now they are reduced to prey in a game they do not know the rules to, running from a hunter whose face they cannot name. But you do not strike yet. No, no, there is still so much left to take from them. You start with their sense of control. One by one, you strip them of the things they once took for granted. The certainty that their word was law, the belief that their wealth or status could shield them, the arrogance that made them feel untouchable. You dismantle it, brick by brick, until all that remains is the truth they have spent their lives running from. They are not gods. They are not rulers. They are not invincible. They are simply men, and men can break. The weight of their own sins is pressing against them now, crushing, suffocating, inescapable. They retrace their steps, trying to pinpoint when the shift happened, when the power slipped from their grasp, when the balance tilted out of their favor. They try to find explanations, searching desperately for something, anything, that will tell them this is all in their heads. But you are not a hallucination. You are not a nightmare that can be woken from. You are real, and you are relentless. They turn to one another, searching for solace in the eyes of their allies, but there is none to be found. Fear is a disease, spreading through them like wildfire, unraveling the fragile threads that once held them together. They start to suspect one another, whispering in hushed voices, questioning loyalty, second-guessing every word spoken in confidence. The foundation they built their empire upon is cracking beneath their feet, and they have no idea how to stop it. Oh, how quickly alliances shatter when survival is at stake. You let them destroy themselves. You watch as their paranoia turns them against each other, as accusations fly, as desperation sinks its claws into their hearts. Their trust in one another was always a convenience, a necessary illusion maintained only as long as they held power. But now that power is slipping, and with it, so too does the facade. And then, when they are weak, when their unity is in ruins, when they are at the mercy of their own unraveling minds, then you strike. Not with noise, not with spectacle. No, no, that would be too kind. You let them feel it in the silence, in the spaces between heartbeats, in the cold realization that there is no salvation waiting for them. You make them see their end before it arrives. Make them live in the agony of inevitability before the moment comes. There is no escape. There never was. You do not offer them a choice. You do not grant them the luxury of bargaining, of begging, of pleading for the mercy they never once showed you. You let them drown in the weight of everything they have done. Let them face the truth they have spent a lifetime avoiding. And when it is over, when the dust settles, when their world is nothing but ash and ruin, you will walk away. Not as the victim they tried to create, not as the broken soul they once delighted in crushing. No, you will walk away as something else entirely, a force they could not control, a reckoning they never saw coming, a beast, unleashed, unbound, unstoppable, and the world will remember, not their names, yours. They wanted you gone, erased, reduced to a whisper in the wind, a forgotten tale that no one would dare recall. They built their empire atop your ruin, paraded their victory as if it was eternal, convinced that their hands would never tremble, their breaths would never quicken, their hearts would never taste the cold grip of fear. But here they are now, hollowed, broken, unraveling by the second. The ones who once laughed at your suffering now flinch at every sound. The ones who once dictated the fates of others now find themselves ensnared in a fate they cannot escape. The weight of their own misdeeds is crushing their chests. Every breath a battle, every thought a curse. It is not merely fear that haunts them. Fear would be merciful. No, what you have planted inside them is something deeper. Dread, a slow, creeping decay of the mind, an irreversible corrosion of the soul. They do not know when you will come. They do not know how you will strike. They do not know if the next breath they take will be their last. But they know you are near. Their sleep is no longer a refuge. In the darkness, in the silence, they feel the presence of something unseen, something relentless. Shadows twist into shapes their minds cannot comprehend. Whispers coil around them like unseen hands, and in the cold, empty spaces of their existence, the truth claws at them with razor-sharp precision. You are here, and they are not prepared for what comes next. They run, not with their feet, but with their minds. They clutch at the illusions they once held dear, scrambling for something, anything that will promise them safety. But the walls they once hid behind now offer no shelter. Their wealth cannot buy them peace. Their status cannot shield them from consequence. And their power? Their power is nothing more than a ghost, a cruel memory of a time when they believed themselves untouchable. They reach out for help, but there is none. No one trusts them anymore. The same allies who once stood beside them now turn away, unwilling to share their fate. One by one, they find themselves isolated, cut off, abandoned, to face what they so desperately tried to ignore. They had everything. Now, they have nothing but the silence that follows them, the weight of the inevitable pressing against their lungs, suffocating, inescapable. And then finally the moment comes. They hear it first, not the sound of footsteps, not the clatter of weapons, not the crash of destruction. No, what they hear is far worse. The sound of nothing, no voices, no movement, no life beyond the pounding of their own heartbeat. The world itself seems to hold its breath, waiting, watching, knowing that this is the end. They try to deny it, try to push away the certainty sinking into their bones. But the truth is undeniable now. The moment they thought would never arrive is here. You are here. You do not rush. You do not give them the dignity of a swift end. No, you let them sit in the silence. Let them drown in the horror of what they have become. Weak, helpless, afraid. The walls that once kept them safe now feel like a prison. Every door a dead end. Every window a portal into the abyss. They can no longer escape. They were once the hunters. Now they are nothing but prey caught in the jaws of something far greater, far more ruthless. You do not need to lift a finger to break them. They are already shattered, already unraveling from within. But mercy? That is a language they never spoke. So why should you? You let them feel it. The cold steel of inevitability pressing against their skin. A slow, creeping awareness that this is not just the end of their power. It is the end of them. Their story, their legacy, their very existence. snuffed out like a candle in the wind. No monuments will bear their names. No songs will sing their praises. No history books will remember their deeds. They thought they were untouchable. They thought they were gods. But they were only human, and men are forgotten. But you are something else entirely. You are not a man seeking revenge, not a mere specter haunting their final moments. You are the force they could not anticipate, the reckoning they could not escape. You were born in the fire they lit beneath you, forged in the pain they inflicted, sharpened by the betrayals they so carelessly dealt. Every scar they left upon you was not a wound, but a lesson, a map leading to this very moment. This is not their ending. This is your beginning. Their downfall is merely a whisper in the storm that follows, a prologue to the story that will be written in their absence. The world will not weep for them. It will not mourn their loss. It will simply move forward, unburdened, untouched, as if they never existed at all. And you walk away from their ruin, but not as the person they tried to destroy, not as the broken soul they sought to erase, but as something else entirely, something unstoppable, something eternal, the beast they cornered, the hunter they could not escape. And the world will remember, not their screams, not their downfall, but the silence that came after, the silence you left behind.